Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video, and welcome to part three of my ideas and dreams and that kind of thing to work with FIFA and related organisations in football. I hope you enjoy it, and especially all football fans. I'd love to get involved in this in the comment section, and I hope you'll share the video with football fans all around the world, soccer fans for America and all that kind of thing. Please do share the video, as I say, with anyone you know who loves football, again, soccer, calcio, footy, whatever you want to call it. And as ever, and also please get involved in the comments as well. Please do let me know what you think, how you think football could be improved and advanced and things like that, and more marketed around the world, even better than it already is. I know billions of people take part in it. I think it's probably over 1 billion that take part in football, but how can we help it to spread even more as the world's more. Anyway, here goes. So please look out for parts 1, 2, and also 4 if you haven't already seen them. Well, hopefully 4, if I get around to it. Well, if and when I get around to it, will come out as soon as possible. Anyway, so here goes. So number 21, as I say, 21 again. I always say that one, but to recap some of my ideas and thoughts and that kind of thing, ideas, plans and thoughts and whatnot. I would love to work, as I say, with FIFA and UEFA, as the title suggests, as many football organisations and associations and whatnot around, as possible around the world. I suppose football bodies as such, not or as a fan of Italian football and Celtic, I'd only really want to work with them in terms of like national teams or club teams or whatnot, club and country. They're the only ones I'd want to work with. But in terms of working with those who run the game, the beautiful game, as Pele, I think, was one who first coined that phrase, I would love to work with those organisations and look at how to promote the game. And I'd love to see, on the subject of Italian football, I'd love to see Italian football return to the top, but in terms of within the rules of the game. So I'd love to see teams do as well as possible, but within the rules of the game, and also people to learn about the history of Italian football and Celtic as well, and facts and stats and things like that about Italian football and Celtic. I'd love to promote that around the world, especially, but also about football itself, perhaps, and maybe about FIFA, UEFA, and other such organisations, like what this name means, what the logo means, symbol, and what their symbols and whatever else means, and how they came up with those names, and the history of FIFA and UEFA as well. And for me, Italian football and Celtic as well. Like, I'd love for people to find out about that all around the world. Number 22, again, look at how the game can change, how it can engage with fans, supporters, whatever you want to call them, and whatnot. I suppose you could say fans or supporters, whichever term you prefer to use. I use those terms interchangeably. So fans / supporters. You could say we are customers, as I mentioned in part 2. You could say we are customers. We are the ones that help to keep the game running. As I think it was not Brother Wilfred, was it? Can't remember. Jockstein, I think it was, or someone like that from Celtic, who said, "Football without the fans is nothing." So the fans or supporters, whatever you call us, make the beautiful game what it is as well, and obviously the players. I suppose it's a whole ingredient put together. So so in fan engagement, I think that'd be pretty cool. I'd also love to see what Italian football can do in the future in Celtic. When it comes to Italian football and Celtic, I suppose I'd love to see them have the best possible players at club and country level. In Italy's case, at club and country level. When it comes to Celtic, also, like, because I don't support the Scottish national team, I'd love to see the Celtic club team do as well as possible and have the best possible players in all possible positions for the Italian national team, Italian club teams, and Celtic, basically, and that kind of thing. Again, I'd love to work with FIFA and others also all around the world, wherever they have locations, and like meeting up with FIFA representatives, maybe like talking to them on Zoom and talking about, like I say, how to clean up corruption, clean up the beautiful game, clean up the image of football itself and FIFA, and especially Italian football as well, and Celtic, and see what could be done to ensure that they always operate within the law. FIFA, UEFA, Italian football, and Celtic as well. Number 23, I dream to work with or to have football fundraising events with fellow football fans, including like football YouTube channels and whatnot in the future. I dream to like network with them to like raise funds, again, like as part of Football for Good, which I talked before about, to raise funds for people in developing nations, for instance, or just generally people from disadvantaged backgrounds, like fundraise for different causes, tackling illnesses, diseases, helping people with disabilities, helping people tackle poverty, and all sorts of things like that. I'll say I'm drinking out of the bottle as well. So, but yeah, maybe be a bit hypocritical here, but yeah, I probably should have drank a more healthier drink for a football-related video. But please forgive me for that one. But yeah, as I say, football for good. I'd love to do loads of fundraisers. I would be involved in football fundraising matches as much as possible. Hopefully, help to organise them and things like that. Number 24. I'd love to, as I know I do repeat myself a lot, but again, I'd love to see Italy have academies and sports clubs all around the world. Same for Celtic. But when it comes to Italy, I would love to see them produce, so to speak, the next Zidane, Messi, Ronaldo, even Pele, Maradona, George Best, basically the next best players in the world in all possible positions. The next Buffon, the next I can't remember his name now, but basically the next best goalkeepers, the next best defenders, midfielders, and strikers, and have good players in all possible positions, and work with Italian football as much as possible throughout the country, and again help Italian football and Celtic to work together. But I hope to benefit the Italian national team as much as possible. Like from a young age, I think they should be encouraged to try, especially midfielders and strikers. I think they should be encouraged to try and take risks and make plenty of mistakes. I'd love for Italian club teams to also have football academies all around the world. When it comes to the national team, I'd love for them to have as many academies or training centres as possible. For some reason I put academies in speech marks, I don't know why, but use my patterns and all that. But yeah, training centres and things like that as well. Well, I suppose that's the same thing. So academies / training centres, so that like players can practice as much as possible and have as many opportunities to practice, including migrants who I hope will be welcomed into the country through football. But again, I hope to work with Italian politicians, councillors, businesses and individuals, and those, especially those who run football associations, or the football association and the league or leagues, including grassroots level as well, to sort of bring them together to help them to collaborate and that kind of thing. No, I probably need to speak English better first before I can communicate with them, but I'll do my best. But yeah, so I would say to have as many academies as possible, like the late Vialli. I think it would be great if there was academies in his honour, if there are already, especially the clubs he played for, but even just generally having academies in his honour across the country, just like there are is the David Beckham Academy, or there are David Beckham academies in the UK or in England specifically. I think Italian teams in the Celtic and the national team, Italian national team, having as many academies as possible, like the Roberto Baggio Academy and that kind of thing, trying to produce the next Roberto Baggio. But yeah, just as many good players in all possible positions, as well as good players as possible in all possible positions. Basically, I hope that one made sense. 25. I'd love to host events like Mediterranean Cup, Mediterranean Leagues, Republic Cups, Tricolor Cups, or leagues and tourneys as I call them, and things like that. Number 26, I would love to give back to countries that were colonised and like help them. And I know I said about being an Italian football fan, it's my one concession, so to speak, to a country that colonised others, because normally I don't like countries that colonise others that much. But I sort of forgive them and only support their football team. But someone was mentioning an anti-imperialist in America was saying he buys a bicycle from. It's his only thing that he buys from Britain, and someone asked him why is that, and he said, "I don't like their policy in Northern Ireland, so it's the only thing that he buys which is British." So I suppose I'm similar with football. A lot of teams I support are like Italy and France, and teams like that, Mediterranean countries, are like former colonial powers. So I don't agree with or condone their behaviour in terms of colonialism. I condemn that, but I do support their football teams. I say Mediterranean teams or Latin teams generally. Again, I'd love to have like the Latin Cup and things like that, Mediterranean Cup, and hopefully that will benefit all the Mediterranean teams and Latin teams, but especially Italian football. As ever, all my ideas to do with football, I hope to benefit Italy. But I hope that Italy will sort of give back to the countries it colonised as part of the empire somehow. As I often mention, I'd love for them to have academies and sports clubs and train and fund education in those countries, and for Italy to have as many football fun Fridays and that sort of thing as possible as well. Celtic to fundraise for those nations. Celtic already do a lot of stuff in developing nations, which I hope they will be able to continue doing or get back to doing, because I think after the pandemic they probably didn't. After the COVID thing, they didn't manage to do that sort of stuff yet. So I hope they'll get back into helping nations like Malawi and Kenya, especially former colonies, given Celtic's roots in Ireland and how they had the effects of colonialism. But anyway, I've probably gone way off track. And number 27, I hope that I hope to encourage like award ceremonies and things like that. And there could be ones for people who have contributed to football and helped tackle corruption, for instance, or improve the image of the beautiful game generally, or brought investment into football, or people who have done good for football generally. I think it would be great to see them having award ceremonies for that sort of thing, and also rewards for FIFA to have award ceremonies and rewards and acknowledgement, basically, for those who have contributed to the game, to the beautiful game in a beautiful way, shall we say. 28, I hope, again, that FIFA and Italian football, especially football itself and FIFA and Italian football, I'll say the sport I love and the teams I love, can improve their image as much as possible. And teams like Juventus, for instance, will learn from their history about mistakes they've made and make sure they stick within the law and work with FIFA and UEFA to ensure that everything they do is legal, but they get as much investment as possible to be as competitive as possible, as well as town teams generally and Celtic, I would say. Number 29, I would love to showcase what neurodiverse or neurodivergent or special needs or learning disabled people like myself can do for football through our out-of-the-box thinking and creative ideas. So I'd love for my fellow dyslexics and people with ADHD and especially to maybe even autistic people, and possibly even in some cases dyspraxic people, basically people with special needs or learning disabilities or neurodiverse conditions generally, to work with FIFA and other such organisations. And I'd love, maybe together we can work with FIFA and other such football bodies and that kind of thing, and also possibly encouraging diversity, my fellow mixed race people as well. I'll be a bias when it comes to olive skinned people, shall we say. Hence the Italian football thing. But yeah, I love to travel together with my fellow neurodiverse people and mixed race people, especially Eurasians, and in particular Anglo-Indians as well, especially, but mixed race people generally, to go and work with FIFA and football bodies and that kind of thing, and showcase the positives of neurodiversity. I'd love to see what Italy can learn from France, like how they've developed as another Mediterranean nation that's quite similar to them, how they've developed by having more migrants which have been incorporated into the team. So would having more migrants and more diversity benefit town football? I also hope that neurodivergent people in Italy itself will have more respect and more rights, and people will see that we have strengths if we can be included through football, and to be a dyslexia World Cup, especially in Italy. Well, maybe it could be hosted in different countries, but I'd love for Italy to be the main country that is involved in that, as well as Celtic in Glasgow, Scotland. But yeah, I'd love to sort of bring those projects together. Kind of hope that makes sense. I know my mind's a bit quirky sometimes, but yeah, I'd love to. Since I had hardly any sleep, I think I'm doing quite well and very little sleep. To be fair, I did go for a nice little walk just to give myself some fresh air, because I thought I really need to go for a walk. So anyway, yeah. So as I'm going out and I'm going to be in the car for a long time, I thought I need to go for a short walk. I only went for a short walk, but I think I need to have a bit of exercise since I'm going to be in the car for like 2 or 3 hours or something like that, probably. But yeah. So but yeah, I love to work with my fellow neurodivergent people and talk about neurodiversity and also racial or ethnic diversity and the value, like France, how they've done well with neurodiverse teams. Diversity teams, diverse teams, and all that kind of thing. People from different nations, racial diverse teams or ethnic diverse teams. So yeah, also what Italian football can learn from Spain, for instance, as well, another Mediterranean nation that's very similar to them. If they do, could Italy develop football teams like them, like passing and moving the ball and attacking more and things like that? What could they learn from other Mediterranean teams, perhaps, or other teams generally, especially those who are most successful? And number 30, as ever, I would love to read your comments. And yeah, hope I didn't do too bad a job, but I am out. Peace out.